There's this post that pisses me off every time it comes up on my timeline on Twitter, and it's that Nick Saban quit because he no longer is the only coach that can pay players. He knew that the playing field was getting level, so he quit while he could still keep his legacy intact. That is such an ignorant statement to make to me. Because Nick Saban has been dominating college football well before he ever stepped foot in Tuscaloosa. Did you not forget that he was winning at LSU? He was winning at Michigan State. Nick Saban didn't need to buy a team to win national championships. Just because you buy the best roster that money can buy doesn't guarantee you success. Prime example, Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. Everybody always loves bringing them up. They spent so much money on their team, and they sucked. Having money and buying players, having the best team talent-wise due to recruiting rankings doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win, because you still need good coaching to bring the best out of those players. Nick Saban didn't have too many misses in his recruiting classes at Alabama. The majority of his recruiting classes will comprise of guys who were getting drafted in the NFL and very early in the draft also. He was an elite football savant. He was elite development of talent. He was an elite game day coach. Nick Saban was one of the very few all-around great head coaches in college football. He wasn't just a guy who's a great play caller, good strategist, and not a good acquirer of talent like some coaches out there like Dan Mullen. He's a head coach who just knew what it took to win. And he held his team to a really high standard. Tennessee was giving out money in McDonald's bags. Nobody ever talked about it. There have been plenty of teams that got caught paying players under the table. If you think that Nick Saban was the only coach who was paying players under the table, then you're sadly mistaken. There were other programs who were paying players too. Hell, they alleged that Cam Newton got paid to go to Auburn. Reggie Bush apparently got paid. That's why he got his Heisman taken away. USC had all kinds of stuff going on. Miami was paying players. There were plenty of programs that got exposed for paying players and didn't win. Nick Saban won. Sure, you got to have great teams to win. Coaches coach and players make plays, but coaches still got to put those players in position to make those plays. They have to develop them in practice. They have to make a practice routine. They have to make a practice regimen. They have to push them. They have to know how hard they can push them. Just because Nick Saban had money to spend on some players doesn't mean that, he ran away from NIL. He just didn't want to deal with this shit anymore. Most of these coaches don't want to deal with it. Most of these head coaches in college football, if they had the opportunity to coach in the NFL, they would. Because they don't want to deal with everything that goes on with recruiting, with NIL, because sometimes it can be a hassle, especially with no regulations. A bunch of coaches would have felt the same way about NIL as what Nick Saban did on his way out. Nick Saban didn't really fully retire because of NIL. He retired because the game was no more about building a connection between player and coach. It was just all about how much can you pay me? It became transactional relationships, and Nick Saban and his wife, Miss Terry, didn't like that. They liked it actually being able to bond with the players. They liked actually feeling like a family. Alabama has money. Nick Saban's a good evaluator of talent. He got Jahmyr Gibbs out of the transfer portal. He got Jamison Williams out of the transfer portal. So he would have definitely been able to keep up with the NIL era, the transfer portal era. Sure, it would have irritated him having to lose so many guys. Maybe he wouldn't have been as dominant during the NIL era as he was pre-NIL era. But this is the greatest head coach of all time. What made Nick Saban so great was his ability to adapt. When he tried to warn college football about the offense that Chip Kelly was running at Oregon, no huddle, and nobody wanted to change the rules, Nick Saban adapted and he started running that same offense and won national championships with it. He got better quarterbacks. He went from winning natties with A.J. McCarron to winning a national championship with Tua, making it to a national championship with Bryce Young. Every quarterback, every recruiting class that Nick Saban has brought in he's won them at least a national championship. That's an insane stat. At least most of them. Nick Saban didn't need to cheat or pay guys underneath the table to win. Rather, if he couldn't pay guys or not, Alabama still would have gotten players that wanted to get coached because they wanted to get developed for the next level. They wanted to win with one of the greatest head coaches ever. Just the name of Nick Saban makes guys want to play for him. Not all due to money. Some guys took pay cuts. Some guys could have made more money playing elsewhere, but they chose to take less for Nick Saban.